shades and a couple of different sizes so we can sort of make them look like they're flying away from the cake. So these patchwork cutters, they're available all over the place. There's tons of them, and they sort of range in delicacy. Some of them are a little some of them are a little easier to use because they don't have so much intricate sort of inner workings. You can see the butterflies, of course, I choose the one that's probably the most difficult. But don't be scared, I'll show you how to make this perfect. Okay, but before we start with those, I want to show you kind of a fun way that you can actually make these decorations in advance. We're going to make them out of gum paste, so obviously if you've used gum paste before, you know that gum paste dries hard like porcelain, and then you can stick it onto a cake, but our cake is round. So if we wanted to make these in advance, they would be flat, sort of sitting on the surface, and when we stuck them on the cake, they would still remain flat because they would be dry. But there's a way that you can actually dry these over a round form. This is just a cake dummy, and I'm going to cut a strip of parchment paper here. That's about the size of it. Get rid of the rest of that. And then we're just going to wrap this. Cut a little bit more. It's a little tall. Actually, let's use the X-Acto knife. This might work better. There we go.
He had a little tiny piece.
Yeah, a little off here. So basically the idea is that we're going to be rolling out and cutting our wet gum paste, and then we're going to dry it around this. So I'm just going to pin it. If I can get this thing to stay still. There we go. Pin it at both sides so that it's tight on here. And then we want to rub it with shortening. And the reason why we do this is so that as it's drying, the underneath stays a little bit wet and we can pull it off. So for this idea, because buttercream cakes are sort of in the moment, you have to do them. You can't really do anything in advance. You can now make these in advance. So when you go to take them off of here, they'll already be curved and they'll fit right onto your cake.
What you doing, honey bunny?
All right, so our form is ready. And what you want to do is whatever tier you're going to put the actual, the cutter on, whatever tier that you're going to be putting the decorations on, you want to make sure it's the same or similar size dummy that you're going to put this around. I could probably get away, since this is a 6-inch, I can get away with the butterflies going on maybe an 8 or a 4, but it probably wouldn't fit on, say, a 12 because of how the curve is around a larger cake. So you want to do whatever your cake is going to be, you want to have a like form for that. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I have some gum paste here that I've colored.
Oh, he's got
this sort of cornflower blue color. I just added a little bit of blue and a touch of black.
What's my baby doing?
And then what I did was, in this container, I added a little bit of white to make this color. Then I added a little bit more white to make that color. And then the final color will be white.
That flower,
so
didn't he?
Get this sort of ombre effect where we're actually going to do the larger butterflies at the bottom, and then they're going to sort of get smaller as they go to the top. So it actually has this really cool optical effect to it. Always keep gum paste in a container that is airtight so you don't get the drying out of it. So when I work with gum paste, I always like to have some shortening on my hands. And if you guys, I usually buy my gum paste, but you can also make it. I know Jacqueline Butler's class, Handcrafted Sugar Flowers, she has a recipe for gum paste that I've made a few times, and it comes out really, really well. So I'm just going to work it. All right. Once it's to a smooth consistency, we're going to actually just roll this out. Now I have this mat here. It's called a tap-it mat. You can actually find this under your resources. There's a resource for where you can find this called International Sugar Art Collection. And it's designed specifically for cutting things out. There's sort of a rough side, and then there's a smooth side. So what I'm going to do is take my little cell pen here, a little shortening, and then we're just going to roll this out. something underneath so it doesn't slide. Here we go.
What to do it, baby?
There, that's better. You could put this through a pasta machine if you want them to be really super thin. I kind of like to just roll them out by hand, but I am going to roll it out rather thin.
One of those printers that we were looking at. Careful, buddy.
There we go. I got a couple of little bubbles here. I'm going to pop those.
Printer, scanner, copier. Prints up to 24 black pages per minute. Flatbed scanner.
Alright, that's about thin enough.
Cool. Alright, Grammy. We'll try and catch them crawling later.
Right, and then I'll take my largest patchwork